Hello Smart Movers and welcome to Smart Move Insider, a place where we talk about fitness from within. My name is Sergio alongside head coach Bart, and today we're going to talk about scaling. More and more often scaling is misunderstood. You might think that this is just for beginners when they are not able to do or perform a certain movement in the workout. But this can be more wrong. If you didn't listen to the last episodes, the one on mechanics, consistency, intensity, or the stimulus, I would strongly advise you to, because this episode will rely greatly on them. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Bartus, if I was a 5-year-old, how would you explain to me what scaling is?
To explain what scaling is, I would say let's start what is RX. So every day we have a workout on the board, and you have that RX button. What does that mean? So the workout on the board, RX means the workout as prescribed. So it's the suggested workout. It's not like this is the workout and the only workout. It's the suggested workout. This will be the base of the adjustments we will make. So now that you know what the RX is the workout on the board as it is written. Scaling means that any adjustment we make from that original workout. Adjustments can be made for multiple reasons, which we will go into detail in this episode. But basically scaling is adjusting the workout.
Yeah, that's a thorough answer. If I would explain to a 5-year-old, I would say scaling is modifying the workout. Modifying, why? Because you want to make sure that everybody gets the most out of their workout. You want everybody to somehow finish in the same time, because we always start in the same time.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good one. Every workout, every day you see a workout on the board, and it's important that you adjust the workout appropriate for you. Don't just copy or do blindly because it's written on the board. If you want to make progress, it's a process. You cannot just skip from doing a move with the empty barbell to going to 60 kilos. It needs to be adjusted to the individual from day to day. You make the adjustments in talking to your coach. He will give you advices towards that. So we want to get the best out of every day and every workout for you, not just in general.
Exactly. We would like to have the same intensity, same volume for everybody. You don't want to feel that if I didn't RX today, I missed my workout. Because we have a lot of misconceptions about this. It's just for beginners. It's just for if not I'm not strong enough, or if just I'm not gymnastic enough. So I would say scaling is for everybody. I often scale my workouts. Especially now, after some experience, I just know some movements that will be a too high price to pay for me to do it. So sometimes I just go, okay, butterfly pull-ups today, no, I'm gonna go ring rows with my feet elevated. Let's put some work over there. So yeah, when you would look at the workout, what would you scale first?
What would I scale first? I think the obvious one that everybody already has in mind is you scale the weight. Like I said, if you're new to a movement, it's like we talked in the last episode, it's about first being able to do technically the movement well, then being able to repeat it, and only then intensity comes, aka in this example would be hiring the weight. So first thing I would look at the board would be, okay, what's the prescribed weight of today? It's 60. Every day the coach gives you some guidelines on how to get to the goal of today's workout. Maybe he will say today's workout has 10 power cleans at 60 kilos. You should be able to do each round unbroken. Then it's up to me, with the fitness I have now, to decide with what weight can I do 10 reps unbroken. Maybe it's 60, maybe it's 50, maybe it's 20, but I will make the choice according to the individual. So that's usually what we go for first, weight.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Weight is the first thing that we need to look at. When I try to scale a workout, first I look at my class. I look at my class and I see who do I have inside. What's the level of fitness? That brings me to experience level. So basically, first I look at experience, and then I try to adjust to that. I would say that we will need to categorize them in beginners, intermediate, advanced. And for somebody that doesn't know, a beginner in CrossFit is under 6 months. Intermediate, 6 months to 3 years, and advanced, everything over 3 years. But there's a catch here. In order to be a beginner until 6 months, you need to come with consistency in training. If you just come once or twice per week, that's not considered necessarily the entire period being done.
So you might be a beginner till 1 year if you only come 2 times a week.
Yeah, or even one. If you have once per week, so yeah, definitely. You're going to reach a year and you're still a beginner.
So you look at your class level of experience, and then you start already before the workout thinking a little bit on what potential scaling options they might need.
Yes, for example, I don't want to be surprised. I used to do that way at the beginning when I started coaching, but it was nerve-wracking if you have somebody that you know that needs a scaling option and you don't have it on the spot. I look inside my class, I see if I recognize somebody that needs scaling or a level, and then I just make myself a few options. But in order to do this, you need to know your people in the class. If you're never interested in them and you never have a chit chat with them in the warm-up part, or have classes that often to know what they're struggling with or what they're injured with, you will not be able to do this.
The more often you see the same people, the better we get to know them, the more we communicate with them, and they communicate with us, the better we will be able to help them, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because it's not only, do you think that scaling, it's only dependent on the coach holding hands for everybody in the class to make sure that they make the right decisions?
No. Basically, you want them to think for themselves a bit. So here comes the education part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think we eventually need to come to a point where, of course, we're there to guide you, but we also want you to think with us into this exercise of what's appropriate for you, because we're gonna talk about some examples of when do you scale. There is nobody better to know how you feel than you. So we're also reliant on you communicating and telling us a little bit what feel you have today, or how the thruster went last time, for example, with 20 kilos. Is it appropriate for you to try 30 kilos today? So it's a bit of cooperation between athlete and coach.
Yep. And since we are at the weight, how do you think we should scale the weight? We should always stick to it, and just when the coaches let you know, okay, you can go today a bit further? Or how would you think for yourself if you scale your workout because you cannot take the 60 weight? How would you address it?
I think it depends on the experience. So how often did I do a workout with maybe the same move? There are for sure workouts that were similar to the one that you do that day, where you have to make the decision what's appropriate. So depending a little bit on how I felt in the past, that's where I'm gonna make my decision. That decision will also be dependent on, am I feeling full 100% ready today? Is it a strong day today? Do I feeling ready, or is it the day where I'm like, I'm not so feeling that fresh? Then I will make other decision. But if it's a fresh day, it will be dependent. Last time when I did power cleans with 60, did I reach the goal of that workout, or did I have to take more break than I was supposed to? Did it turn into a strength workout, or did I catch the cardio stimulus that Metcon's supposed to give? So most Metcons, we're going to be working with 40 to 60% of our 1 rep max, because that will be weights that we can keep on moving. If I go too heavy, I will most likely miss the stimulus of the workout, because I'm going to be resting more. And seeing that we are about intensity drives results, intensity will drop. If you rest more, intensity will go down. So we need to find that line, but that also means that sometimes you're going to need to experiment. Sometimes you need to experiment a bit with the line of, okay, I've been doing 50 kilos for a long time. Maybe the jump to 60 is a bit big, but maybe I should do 52.5 or 55. Small jumps over time will get you closer and closer to your goals. So I would say trial and error. And sometimes it will be error. You will try for 5 kilos more and you will be like, yeah, that was more, that was harder than I expected. And then maybe next time you will try 52.5, who knows? So it's a bit of a trial and error. But the good thing is that in the programming, we do some technical warm-up and we usually do some test rounds. So you can usually test it out there in the test rounds and have a bit of a feel for it. And if you're not sure, you can still ask the coach, what do you think? And he will ask you some questions. How did it feel? Was it unbroken in the test rounds? You have this amount of total volume to do in the Metcon. And it's a bit of a, it's not a black and white story. Sometimes it's just a trial and error story. But if you were moving smooth and with good technique in the Metcon, we can try. In the test rounds, we can try in the Metcon and see. Worst case scenario, what's going to happen in the middle of the Metcon, we'll take the weight down.
Yeah. Yeah, too often we pull back. We don't get to the challenge. We just, okay, it's comfortable, it's safe, let's stay here. Too often we are pulling ourselves backwards instead of, okay, just charging, because we preach a lot about safety. So sometimes we just need to encourage them a bit more to get them going.
I think we indeed mention safety a lot, correct movement, but it's not because you put 2.5 kilos more that your technique is going to break down. Maybe you're just going to have to rest more often. But you can still do the sets you're doing safely. The problem with always staying in the safe zone is that at a certain point your body has no reason anymore to adjust, to progress. So we always need to find the minimum amount of extra stimulus to keep pushing us forward. So a small step forward, just get a little bit uncomfortable every day. Don't stay in the comfort zone. So a little bit uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable that things break down. So this is where it's a thin line. You need to play around a bit with it.
There's this saying, I don't know if you remember it. Everything fun is outside of your comfort zone.
For sure.
So I think it's applied to the training also. If you want a bigger challenge, see how it feels. Sometimes, like we talked in the previous episodes, put all the chips in, go full out. That means also go heavy sometimes, or go technical sometimes, or try that gymnastic that you're always avoiding.
Or go speed and say, I'm gonna not have too much strategy. I'm gonna make it a high tempo from round 1, and then we'll see what happens. See if I can hang on. Sometimes there are also days that are appropriate just to try it out. Then you will know where your threshold is, what your appropriate pace is. You need to play around a little bit with it, also to learn to know your own body and to test a bit the limits.
Talking about speed, on my list, this is the second that I would address when I'm scaling. So load is the first one, the weight is most obvious, but then you have the speed. I can already see an athlete with some weight on the bar that if he goes fast, he's going to blow up. So I know them, majority of them, I know them, and I know their technique. And if they were going to go fast from the start, they will perhaps collapse and crash. So in these cases, I just tell them, look, this is going to be a bit heavier. For example, I'm having the in-betweens, the 50s and the 60s. Go 55 today. But let's say we have 5 rounds. The first 2-3 rounds, just test the waters. Dip your finger a bit and see how the water is. If you feel you manage, let's go from the 4th and the 5th round a bit faster, if you can do that. I don't know if you sometimes have this fear with the speed.
Yes, then I would indeed say, okay, let's challenge you a little bit on the weight today, but don't do 10 reps unbroken. I think you can, but you might not be able to do that for all the rounds. So, like you advised, let's do the first rounds, do 5, rest, do 5, rest. If then in round 4 and 5 you think you can do more than 5 reps, go for it. But it's an extra challenge already, the weight. So let's not make the extra challenge also the speed, and going for a bigger set will be more intense. So it's again a bit of a playing around with the intensity of this part, speed.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit logic thinking. You cannot have both weight and speed. Let's pick one and stick with it. And then the second workout can be next week. Just go vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the speed. Sometimes I have that discussion with the, let's call them the more advanced athletes that are strong, that they have the tendency to see a lightweight, let's say, on the board, let's say 40 kilos, it's a metcon weight 40 kilos, and they know they're strong. They can do that exercise, let's say overhead squats. It's 40 kilogram overhead squats, let's say it's 5 rounds, 15 overhead squats, 400 meter run. They know they have a 100 kilogram overhead squat, so they're like, can I do the workout with 50 kilos? In most cases, I will tell them, don't scale up, but go faster. So then I'm pushing them towards speed from the intensity point of view, not towards more weight, which is also will change intensity. Much more often in that workout, going faster will make it more intense than going heavier. Going heavier might make you break up the reps. In their case, going fast with the 40 kilos might give them the challenge. Go unbroken, go fast on the run, directly pick up the bar. The intensity will be higher overall. Doesn't mean that there is no place on some days to do 50 kilos, but in most cases, especially on benchmark workouts, like a Fran, where we do 21:59 thrusters and pull-ups, do the lighter weight faster. There are certain benchmarks. The moment you can do the Fran under 3 minutes, I would say let's do the next Fran maybe heavier, or chest to bars, and make another challenge. Because if you can do the Fran around 3 minutes or faster, you're pretty fit.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, scaling up is not a problem.
No, but you need to do it for the right reasons.
True, true. Okay, so after you scale somebody the load, you scale the speed a bit, what would we address next?
Yeah, the one that will be addressed next, and it's the one that coaches and members go for the least, is the total volume.
What does this mean, volume?
Means the total amount of work that needs to be done, all the reps together. So, for example, I have 5 rounds of 10, 10, 10. So the volume is the 5 rounds. If I would scale something, maybe I would tell a person you do 4 rounds a day, or you will do 5 rounds of 8, 8, 8. So if I count all the reps together, that's the total amount of volume that's been done. So I will tone that down a bit, because handling X amount of volume, especially high volume workouts, it will give you a lot of muscle pain. So you need to be training regularly to be able to handle that volume. So I want to avoid that these people in the next 3 days are walking funny because they did so many air squats that they have huge muscle pain. So scaling it down a bit, maybe to 70 or 80% of what's on the board, is sometimes the best way to go.
Yeah, but you know what they say, if you don't have muscle pain, you didn't work out enough.
What do you think about that? You asked me, well, it's a statement, so what do you think? Do you still always have big muscle pain?
No, actually, I didn't have muscle pain for certain muscular groups for a long time. And I cannot say I didn't lift that much lately, or didn't push so hard in the metcons. It just, I think the consistency which I'm doing the trainings, because now I'm going like 5 times a week. If I feel a bit down, I don't skip it, I just go a bit slower. If I'm like really tired, didn't sleep properly, I just skip a day and have 3 pause and then 1 or 2.
So I think the reason for you to skip a day when you're training regularly is because you just feel general tiredness, not necessarily because you're so broken from a muscle soreness point of view. Like some of the people that start CrossFit have, sometimes they're taking a break because they're like the muscle pain is too much. So if you train regularly, your body adapts, and you will take rest days because you have a bit of a general tiredness, and you're like, let's recover and come back. Also, having too much muscle pain, probably you didn't scale enough as you should. You should have some muscle pain, but not an extreme amount of muscle pain. If you come to the point where you have extreme amounts of muscle pain, you need to think a little bit back. What did I do the training before that got me in this situation? I did 200 air squats in total in that workout. Maybe next time when it's high volume air squats, maybe go for 150 total. Talk to your coach so we adjust the volume a bit, because you should not end up in muscle pain that will take 4 or 5 days to disappear. You overdid it a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, and going back to the reps and rounds, sometimes I scale my reps. If I have a too high number of reps on a certain exercise, and especially if it's heavy, I just tone it down a bit. For example, if you have 7 snatches with 60 kilos, I would go, let's say 3 to 5, somewhere there, to maintain the stimulus. If the stimulus is you should go touch and go, you should not break in the middle of the cycle.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to go. Don't always have to scale the weight. You can keep the same weight and just do a little bit less reps. It's also very appropriate when we're talking about, for example, high skills like gymnastics, where it's skipping pull-ups, but it's sets of 20 in each round. I can do some keeping pull-ups, but 5 rounds of 20, 100, it will be too much. Then there we might be appropriate to say for you, don't change anything, but on the pull-ups I want you to do every time accumulate 10, every round 10. And you work on the skill of keeping pull-ups, but it's not necessary to go to 20 every round. It's not appropriate for you yet.
Exactly. And why would you advise somebody to drop from 5 rounds to 3 rounds and from 6 reps to 3 reps in the workout? I mean, what's the reason behind it? Why do we want to scale them a bit down so they're not with the rest?
It's again about looking a little bit at their skill level, at their strength level, and seeing a little bit how much reps can they do unbroken, and also to make sure they don't overdo it. And I want to give them a volume that they can do the technique still smoothly, and give them a bit of time to practice. We do this sometimes also on double unders, like it's 100 double unders in a workout, but I'm still in practice mode and I have trouble stringing 10 together. The moment you have a skill, I think you should include it in the workout to a certain extent. For example, with double unders, you could go, it's 100 double unders, maybe I could go, I want you to accumulate 30 and I want you then to accumulate 70 more single unders. Or another way of scaling that would be, I want you to do as many double unders as you can in 2 minutes.
That's perfect. I like that.
So there are multiple ways to scale. There's not just one way. So it's a little bit of how much imagination do you have. There are multiple ways to get you there. And I suggest to play around with all the types where you could scale.
Exactly. And I will just explain them about the stimulus. The whole reason for you to go a bit less today is to get the same result at the rest of them. Because, for example, if we have a 15-minute workout time capped, if you finished at minute 20, that was a bit wrong. So, not wrong, it's
you missed a little bit the goal,
yes,
because it means you went 25% slower. So that means you probably took a lot of rest somewhere. Something was holding you back. That's why you advise them, let's do less reps there, because it means you will be moving, and I want you to move. So even if that means instead of 10 reps, you do 6 reps.
Exactly. And the last that we want to scale for a person in the Metcon.
What did we have?
Movements.
The movements. We didn't cover the movements yet. Yeah, the skills. Like I already gave the example with pull-ups.
Or even squat. If you cannot do an air squat properly, we're gonna make a variation of sit on the bench, get up from the bench, everything that you can get out the most out of your workout. But this sometimes is, not sometimes, this is always the last, because we want to expose them to the movement itself. I remember something that you told me way back. What's the best stretch for the overhead squat? It's the overhead squat,
Yeah,
the movement itself.
for sure. So yeah, in an ideal scenario, we want to expose them as close to the original move that's on the board as we can. So yeah, if it's overhead squats, maybe we'll do PVC overhead squats. It depends a little bit, but yeah, we want to keep the same movement pattern. If it's some kind of, let's say it's a push jerk, but you have issues with mobility or with the technique of the push jerk, we'll maybe practice it in the technical warm-up with the drills, where we in progressions teach you the push jerk. The weight will be light, the injury risk will be low, but maybe then afterwards in the Metcon, when it needs to go faster, you don't master the skill yet, maybe I'll give you strict press or push press instead of push jerk. So we adjust a little bit according to the situation.
Yeah, makes sense. So if we talk about now what we scale the first, let's talk about who do we scale for. So which categories of people need to do scaling?
I think everybody needs scaling. There are just we have certain reasons why we scale, and everybody from beginner to intermediate to advanced eventually will fall into one of those categories of why could we potentially need to scale. The most obvious one is like that we already talked about, is we want to preserve the stimulus of the workout. So we want a certain tempo in the workout, a certain speed at which you do the workout, so the intensity would stay up, and that should be the similar intensity as the more advanced does. The beginner would also need a variation that gets him to a similar, let's say, intensity relative to him. So that would be one of the most logic ones. I'm scaling to preserve the goal of the workout.
Yeah, the stimulus, I love that. Then would be mechanics and consistency. I need to see you doing the right movement and doing it often. Doing it when we practice it, doing it under tiredness, under fatigue. Intensity is not an excuse for bad movement, like you always say. So mechanics, consistency, and only then comes the fast part, the part that I always strive for.
I told them today, even in my class, like we had some snatch practice because we had snatches in the Metcon, and I told them before the Metcon, okay, we have made it look good in the practice. It's not because you're going to get tired later on in the Metcon that now anything goes. We practice without pressure of time and without speed and under lower weight, so you would get the mechanics down. Now we need to learn to move with pretty good mechanics, not perfect, pretty good mechanics when we're tired. So if our mechanics break down to that point that it doesn't look good anymore, we need to rest. If you start resting too much, probably I will take the weight down because now your rest is getting too much, you're starting to break down too much. So we always want to move well. So mechanics, it's always important, no matter if you're tired or not. Especially when you're tired, I tell them sometimes you should rely on your technique and not muscle it. You will save energy by moving smooth and relying on your technique.
Yeah, exactly. So scaling is not for beginners. It depends on the experience level, but I would say the intermediate need to scale as much as possible because they're in between. That's the part that I like to play around, give them certain tasks. Okay, now go heavier, now go lighter and faster with this weight, or vice versa, go heavier and slower a bit with this weight, and just see if you can maintain it. So it's not just for beginner scaling, also we scale for injury. This is another part that we need to take care sometimes. Injuries occur, like we talked.
Yep.
So
we
need
had
to
an
take
entire episode about that.
Yeah, we need to take it in consideration. You have a wrist, it's hurting, no lifting above your head. You have a problem with your hip flexor, not too many squats because it's gonna just make you more swollen.
Yeah, it's going to be important that when you are hurt, we scale the workout, and we're trying to find a variation of the workout that you can do pain-free. And that can be anything. It can go, for example, DT, 5 rounds, 12 deadlifts, 9 hang power cleans, and 6 push jerks. Imagine that my shoulder hurts when I'm pressing overhead. It's no problem for us to change the workout and say, okay, we're going to do 5 rounds, 12 deadlifts, 9 hang power cleans, and you're going to do 8 to 12 dumbbell bench presses. It's still a press, but perhaps in the other direction, your shoulder doesn't hurt. Or like you said, my wrist hurts. Maybe I'm going to change the workout with barbell push presses to dumbbell push presses. So here it's going to be important for you to communicate with your coach. Don't be shy. It's just a workout. You will still get fit with doing the bench presses. You will still get fit with doing the dumbbell push presses. No matter that the entire class is doing the barbell, you still will get a good workout in. You still will fire the muscles we wanted to fire, like the shoulders. So you will still get fitter. Adjust the workout, because if you push through the pain, like we talked in the other episode, you might go from being hurt to being injured.
Yeah, it's a dangerous trap you can fall in. So you need to have a variety of options to scale.
Yeah, and there are many options. Just talk to your coach. Maybe you will have a suggestion. Maybe you'll walk up to the coach and say, my wrist hurts. I was thinking of doing exercise X to replace exercise Y. What do you think? You also know what exercises you like, what you feel comfortable with. You can make suggestions, but the important part is always communicate with the coach. Don't just make changes and the coach all of a sudden sees you do something else in the workout and he doesn't know, but he's going to slow you down and ask you questions. So communicate, talk about, but know that you should change the workout.
Yes, I know we have a few in the community that always tell me, look, I'm having this issue. I used to do this. Do you have any idea of doing something else in this workout? Okay, I do the same. And sometimes I come up with something else, but sometimes it's okay, just go with what you did.
Mm-hmm.
If you know it works and everything else it's a mess. For example, people with knee problems, okay, let's just do those half things that you do.
Yeah, what works for you? Okay,
Exactly.
Squatting hurts, but lunging doesn't hurt. Perfect. Still legs, or maybe I'll do Bulgarian split squat, or maybe I'll do a step up, or maybe I'll do a box squat. It's also good to play around with it for the coach, but also for the athlete, and just see a little bit, because variation is good. It keeps it interesting. I wouldn't always go for the same move, so play around with it in those test rounds in the warm-up. Just see a little bit what hurts. You can only know by trying it.
So you don't want to do just banded pull-ups.
Yeah, that's another one. I have the impression that people think that banded pull-ups are the magic to get to strict pull-ups. So every time it's pull-ups in the workout, they're switching it with banded pull-ups. Any pull variation will be beneficial for you towards your strict pull-ups.
That means horizontally also?
Yeah, can be inverted rows, can be ring rows, especially ring rows, because the argument I get when I ask them about why do you always pick banded pull-ups as a scaling for the keeping pull-ups, they say because it's the hardest scaling option that I know. Is it? Can you already do the ring rows RX? I'm gonna say 90% of you guys that are doing the banded pull-ups cannot do the ring rows yet RX, so that means you still can progress on the ring rows. So why do you only do banded pull-ups when you're still having scaling options that are still a challenge? So you don't have a reason not to do them because the banded pull-ups between brackets is the harder variation. No, I know RX guys that when I tell them to do ring rows, that they tell me, damn, the workout will be harder doing 100 ring rows than doing 100 keeping pull-ups, and it will be. So it's good to keep variation. There are many variations. Which ones do we have? ring pull-ups, inverted rows. I could even do barbell rows. I could do negatives. I could do all kinds of ring row variations. I could do, for the RX ones, the RX guys, elevated ring rows. So put your feet on a box so you're in a decline with your upper body. Do ring rows from that. There are many variations and we should play around with it because all of them will make you stronger for your strict pull-up. Another one that I have that I scale people for is when they have mobility issues. And because I am also not the most mobile one, especially overhead, I know how it feels. So sometimes I see when people are in the technical warm-up, I can see by the way they're overarching or that they're not in line when they do a strict press that they're having trouble. So sometimes I pick those guys and I let them do the practice. For example, like I said before, on a push jerk, but then in the Metcon, I will go to something that they can control more and they don't put their body into compromised positions, because putting your body in places where it's too uncomfortable with loads will lead to injury. So that's why I let them do the practice. It's lightweight. But then in a Metcon, when things have to go fast and explosive, or when there is weight included, certain moves I do modify them for safety reasons, because it might lead to overuse injuries. And with the advice of, okay, in between your sets during the warm-up, do this stretch. When you come earlier and you know you have a bad front rack, do the stretches for your lats, do the stretches for your shoulders. So at least over time, you can get closer and closer to a good front rack. Because if I'm going to give you on a workout of push presses, you have the strength for it to do 50 kilogram push presses, but the bar isn't on your shoulder. If you're going to do 50 reps like that, eventually or your elbow is going to start hurting or your wrist, because the bar isn't on your shoulders. So in certain cases, I would tell them, do a strict press. Your bar doesn't need to be on your shoulders, but because it's a strict press, the weight won't be so heavy. You will still get a good shoulder workout. Or do push presses with dumbbells and keep working the front rack. So it's important to know your weaknesses mobility-wise and make smart choices. If you put your body in less than optimal positions for many reps, you will get little pains. So there's no reason to go there. You can still do the move at certain parts of the workout, but maybe not under high intensity.
Yeah, mobility is a constant work. You need to constantly work on it.
For sure, I have certain things that I work on. And I prefer to do a little bit extra before the workout on my certain problem areas, like ankle mobility, upper back mobility, if I know that I'm going to need it in the Metcon. So if you know you have problem areas, 5 minutes before the workout, start already doing some mobility work. Don't be afraid to tell the coach during his suggested mobility, like, I have this stretch that really works for me. It's no problem. I'd rather have you work your own mobility exercises and be ready for the workout, because in essence, just like we're scaling the main workout at the end, the Metcon, it also applies to other stuff. If you know a certain mobility exercise really works for you, just communicate with the coach, do what is needed for you to get ready for the workout. So in the end, all of it, what's on the board is like, this is our prescribed, suggested things we're gonna do, but tweak it. It's like, if you feel like you rather stay 5 minutes in the bottom of a squat than do the puppy pose because it's back squats in the Metcon and your hips still don't feel loose, stay in the bottom of the squat.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this one gets overlooked a lot, is when people were absent for a period. I also think it's necessary to scale. Usually a bit of everything: volume, weights, exercises, speed. When you're coming back from a holiday, one, I would say, tell the coach that I have been gone for a week or for 2 weeks on holiday. This is my first workout back. Tell him, because he will then know, one, that probably you need some scaling and help you out with that. And two, he will also know that this is not the workout for you, for him to push you into, come on, go unbroken, go faster, don't give up. It's not the workout. anytime you have a longer break than 5-6 days, your first training should go a little bit slower, a little bit lighter, and then wait a bit how your body feels. So it's again a scaling, a modifying, but every time after a break, give yourself the time. You would be surprised every time after a short break that again it's a bit of a stress. Just imagine that you're a runner. You didn't run for 2 weeks because you were in holiday. Would the first training back be 20 kilometers running at high tempo? Probably not. Same for CrossFit. After the break, the first training, it's not about I need to get PRs today. I need to beat person X or Y today. No, it's about I just coming to move a bit. Tomorrow I'll probably be in a bit of muscle pain. Next training a bit slower again. And then probably training 3 and 4, it's gonna be able to go and ramp up the intensity again. So as a general message, scaling doesn't mean you're taking a step back. In my opinion, smart scaling from day to day, from month to month, from year to year will make you progress. Making jumps too fast, trying exercises where you're not ready for too fast will actually make you take steps back. So small steps forward, even if it's not the RX workout of the day, will still progress you. Never feel bad for scaling, because I think maybe we need to stop using the word scaling perhaps and say modifying. Modifying apparently doesn't feel so bad as scaling. Scaling sometimes has for people a bad sound to it. Like one of the things that makes me cringe is when people say, when I congratulate them for the effort they did in a workout, for the time they put, yes, but I did it scaled. Did you not challenge yourself today? Did you not have a good workout today? Do you think that only doing workouts RX will make you fitter? No. You did the workout variation for the fitness level you have now. If you stay every time a little bit in that uncomfortable zone, you'll make progress. Keep making the decisions from day to day with in mind, I want to train tomorrow. So the main question is, do you want to, and it's a rhetorical question, do you want to be the hero of the whiteboard today and be messed up for a couple of days, or do you want to make small steps towards getting fitter? It's a rhetorical question. The answer is make small steps towards a fitter you. Don't make big jumps. Doing more and faster doesn't get you there necessarily faster. Going from 50 kilos directly to 60 kilos doesn't get you there faster. So like we talked already about, make the choices appropriate for you on that day. Whatever reason that may be, if there is a reason, be okay with it. You don't have to justify yourself to nobody.
Exactly. Scale for life.
What's the word that that our Dutch friend used in the level 2? He had a nice phrase, but I can't come to it.
Wes?
He said something. Yeah, Wes said something about scaling.
Don't remember.
I can't remember, but it came down to something in like what you said, scaling for life. But he has a nice phrase for it. I'm gonna have to ask him again.
All right, man. I think this is a good place to stop today. It was full of interesting things for people, I hope. If you have any questions, you can drop them into our email, info@smartmovecrossfit.ro, or you can find us on Instagram @smartmovecrossfit. Next time we're going to discuss about nutrition. A few hacks around it. No, I'm just joking. Nutrition. If you want more information about the two of us, you can find our details into the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.